They say performance has an expiration date, but what if they're wrong? No matter where you start, the goal's the same: to be better, stronger, wiser, bolder. We're here for the relentless, those that don't back down, don't compromise, and don't quit. This is training for Masters athletes by Masters athletes, with a community that holds you steady. So say goodbye to random workouts, because whether you're stepping into following a program for the first time or stepping onto the podium, your journey starts here.
All right, team, welcome to the Boulder Athlete Podcast. I am Josh, and I'm here with Greg, who shall not be named, just Greg. Greg, I'm glad you're here, man. This almost didn't happen, but I'm stoked that this worked out, so appreciate you making time today.
Yeah, happy to be here, man. It's an honor to be on the podcast.
Cool. Well, it's an honor to have people say it's an honor. Like, that's a cool thing. So, hey, we're starting on a good note. So, Greg, 38 years old, you're a former college football player. You're currently a U.S. Marshal. You are a Boulder OG. You've been around since, I think, the very early days. You're a
Yep.
certified badass, essentially. And like, I'm really excited to get into your story. You've got some very unique stuff. I feel like I'm on repeat. I say this for each of our, folks that come do this thing, but you have some really unique stuff that I think very few people have experienced before, and I want to get into that. So before we go background. One of the comments that you shared in advance was, I asked, what's a hobby of yours? And you said drinking coffee, protecting America.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's
Yep.
kind of that's pretty sweet. Like, that's a good hobby and kind of an awesome statement. Talk to me about maybe less about the coffee, but more about the protecting America. Like, where did that all start? And dive into your background for me.
Yeah. So I think that all started, I want to say middle school or high school. I originally wanted to be a state trooper in New Jersey. So I went into college with a focus on either being a state trooper, FBI. So I went into criminal justice, minored in accounting. I went to Springfield, Massachusetts. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that, but it's where the Basketball Hall of Fame is. I knew I always wanted to be in some type of law enforcement to help people. And one of the pieces of advice I got when I was, solely focused on becoming a New Jersey state trooper was a friend of mine who's a cop. He said, take as many tests, like police tests and everything as you can in college, and then this way you have your pick. Well, New Jersey wasn't hiring at the time that I was in college, so I applied for the Maine State Police and Secret Service and a whole bunch of other agencies, but those are the two ones that got the furthest. I actually got accepted into the Maine State Police and the Secret Service. Turned down the Secret Service job to be a Maine State Trooper. Like I always thought it would be cool to be a state trooper. You're on your own. You're out there. You could respond to any type of call. Like up in Maine, it's very different. You're basically a local cop in the realm of like 90 miles, right? You're the only law enforcement officer out there. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I wanted to be on the SWAT team. I wanted to have a canine. And this was in 2008. So I got accepted into the academy, got my uniform, got my car, got everything. Was sent home for a week to prepare everything to move up to Maine. In that week's time, they canceled the academy class that I was supposed to be in because the whole, 2008, everything, like the economy went to shit. So they're like, hey, we're putting half the class through. You're out of state, so we're going to cut you from the class. So I had to call back up the Secret Service. And I was like, hey, I turned down the job a couple of weeks ago. How do I get back into the process?
Yeah. I'm sure
And they were like,
stoked to realize that they were the backup plan now being brought back.
Oh, yeah, that guy was pissed. He was like, what changed? And I was like, to be honest with you, Maine State Police had to cancel half their class. So I was the first one out. And this was on a Tuesday night. He goes, all right, I need a 5-page paper by tomorrow of why you want to be in the Secret Service. Sounds good. So I wrote the paper. I 100% sure he did not read this paper at all.
Yeah.
So I sent it in the next day around like noon. He calls me at 3 p.m. that day. And he was like, hey, all right, this is the last time I'm going to offer you this job. Sunday, you have to be down here in D.C. Can you make that work? I said, yep. And that's how I got my start in the Secret Service. Yeah.
I can think on less than one finger how many people I know in the Secret Service. You're the guy.
Yeah, that was a great job. That's where I first initially got introduced to CrossFit. There's a trainer down there because everyone who goes through federal law enforcement goes through, it's called FLETC, Federal Law Enforcement Training Academy, in either Georgia, New Mexico, North Carolina, one of these centers. And our PT instructor was like an OG in CrossFit. And this was 2008. Like,
Yeah, super OG. CrossFit's not
yeah,
that far
so
along at this point.
yeah, so I was playing football. Like, I was like, I'm in shape. I was like, this one workout a day, I don't think this is going to do anything for me. And I don't know if you remember CrossFit football back in the day with John Wellborn. Now it's
No,
Power
CrossFit football? Was this like an official thing?
Oh yeah, it was CrossFit football. So
Oh, no.
now it's Power Athlete with John Wellborn.
Okay.
So she was like, listen, I know you're big into like strength, but they have this thing, it's called CrossFit football, where they do like a lift, and then it was like field work. Like you would like push sleds, you know, sandbags, but they weren't sandbags yet. They were the concrete stones at that time. And so she was like I think it was on a Monday morning. She was like, hey, we're going to do this workout. It's called Murph. And I was like, that doesn't seem that hard. It's a mile run. We've been running throughout the academy. It's, you know, pull-ups, push-ups, and air squats. And I was like, you run another mile. And we did the workout.
Were you vested?
And that we did have a vest. I remember the second mile, I started walking like I was pregnant. Like my back was just blown up. And I was like, what the hell did we just do?
Yeah.
I was like, I thought we were in shape. Like, what are we doing?
That
So,
second mile, it doesn't matter how fit you are, sucks. I hate that second mile.
Like the first mile, I think I want to say like I was in running shape at that time because I held the PT record in our academy class for a long time. And like my mile and a half time was almost under 9 minutes. So I was running a mile in less than 6 with the vest on. So it was pretty good. But that second mile, yeah, I walked most of that thing.
Yeah, well, probably because of the first mile going at 6. That's smoking.
Well, I didn't, like that was
Yeah.
like my first CrossFit workout
yeah.
ever. And like, when you
These
first get
things
into
forget about it.
CrossFit, it was just like, hey, we're just going to hammer this and go as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a good time, man.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's a cool first experience. So you've been doing it ever since?
So I did CrossFit football for a while. I used to have the shirt still. It was a great shirt, CrossFit football. So I did that for a while, and then I still like bodybuild. I want to say for another like year or two while I was in the Secret Service. But I would do a lot of, because I wanted to get on their SWAT team as well. It's called ERT or CAT, the guys in the black ninja suits and the SUVs. So I was training to get on that, and their PT test was hard. It was a 30-pound vest. You had to do, I want to say I think it was 15 strict pull-ups with the vest, run a mile and a half, like dummy and tire drags, bench press, a couple other things you had to do. So I was training. It was a cross between like a CrossFit and just regular like specific training for that. But yeah, I did that for a while until I fully got into CrossFit. I want to say in end of 2012. So about a couple of years, I didn't fully get into it. Like I was still doing the bodybuilding thing.
Yeah.
And then I slowly got just hooked. Yeah, it was 2012.
That's about when I started as well. And as I was looking at your notes, we've been doing this about the same time. So I think the math checks out.
Yep.
Talk to me about your football background. Where did you go to school? What position did you play?
Yeah, so I started in high school. Obviously, I never played like Pee Wee or Pop Warner. I played receiver, tight end, safety, and corner. I wasn't particularly very fast, but I loved hitting people. I could cover you pretty good, but if you were a speed guy, like I had no shot against you.
Hmm.
And then, I played up in Springfield, Massachusetts. So my first year, I was a slot wide receiver guy. Then we had a new coach. He moved me to DB. I really enjoyed that. I played that for 2 years. The last year, then they moved me back to, it was like a hybrid between like a tight end, a fullback, like almost like an H-back type guy,
Yeah.
a slot guy, wide receiver. And then halfway through that year, I blew out my knee. Somebody's helmet hit the top, somebody's helmet hit the bottom of my knee, and it just,
Like
it gave out.
PCL.
So so that injury was an ACL, and then some meniscus damage. Nothing too crazy, but it was like 70% torn. Never had surgery on it at that point, because I had surgery in 2016 on it.
So it just wasn't coming back.
No, it was good. Like I had no issues. Like I did a lot of rehab for it. The stability was fine. I guess like since it wasn't all the way torn, and I strengthened up my hamstring. If anyone ever had an ACL injury, like that's the biggest thing you need to do is, hamstring strength. So my stability, like going through like my police academies, was no issue at all. But in 2016, me and a guy from my gym were trying to qualify for the Granite Games, and we're doing a workout. It was double unders. I think it was power snatches and ring muscle ups. And a couple weeks prior, I felt like I got hit in the back of my knee. It felt like somebody like chopped the back of my knee. And I went to the emergency room, and they were like, "Yeah, we think you just like tweaked your hamstring. Like it's a hamstring strain." Because like my stability in my knee was fine.
Yeah, probably so muscular. They're having a hard time
Yeah,
establishing like where the displacement would be.
Yeah, but looking back on it now, like during those couple weeks from the first injury to like the trying to qualify for the Granite Games, I would step and it would feel like you were walking off a curb and your knee would give out. Well, my meniscus was torn. I didn't know. I was like, it's just I didn't know, and I really didn't care at that point until we were going through that workout, and I was doing a ring muscle up, and I just dropped from the top. Like I used to just drop I used to lock out and just drop. Well, I did it, and my foot planted. My lower leg went one way, my upper leg went the other way, and I tore my ACL, PCL, MCL, 8 tears of my meniscus, and then a bucket handle tear of my meniscus. It was on July 1st, so it was a Friday. It was on July 1st, and no doctor or orthopedic was open till that next Wednesday. Because I went to the emergency room, they're like, "We can't do anything for you."
Yeah.
They're like, "Hey, here's ibuprofen." I was like, "Sweet, man."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. I was also a slot receiver. I've also torn my ACL. Like what you just shared is like very close to home. Funny enough, when you just said, hey, the workout was double unders, power snatches, ring muscle ups, instantly I was like, I wonder if it was coming down off the rings that blew.
Oh yeah.
Of those things, the impact is not that great between double unders and gosh, that sucks, man. That really sucks. I've torn my ACL in one, reconstructed, long recovery. I took a graft out of my own hamstring, so that increased the recovery time. I've torn my PCL in the other knee, didn't have surgery on it, and eventually, like my right knee, my PCL knee is way better.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Knee. Yeah. So part of me wishes I wouldn't have done surgery way back when, but I think it was that much.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I got 8 screws in that knee alone, or that leg. And it's weird. I can still feel them. Like if you run your hand over my shin, you can feel all the screws. But I had to because everything was just completely torn off the bone. I did blow out my shoulder in 2018, but I had stem cells in that shoulder. Because everything is so. If anyone else has an injury out there, and your ligaments are even like 10% intact, I would not get surgery. I would go stem cells or PRP or both if you could afford it, because it's not covered under insurance. But like this arm, they did a MRI like 8 months after the fact, and it was completely healed with no surgery.
That's that's super interesting and incredible innovation. Like I wish more people either had access or even just awareness of that kind of treatment.
Yeah, well, even back then, like what was it, 7 years ago? It was not mainstream
Yeah.
stem cells, and now I think it's becoming more mainstream stem cells, PRP, and all that other stuff. So yeah, if anyone else has an injury like that, I would definitely go that route.
That's probably pretty dang good advice. There's a reason, all these NFL guys, for example, are coming back from ACLs
Yep.
so fast that it doesn't seem real. Stem cell is where they're all headed.
Well, yeah, if you look at like Adrian Peterson, remember him back in the day?
Yeah.
He came back, he did stem cells. Aaron
And then a
Rodgers
2,000-yard
last year.
season that season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, good advice, good counsel. Okay, I want to shift gears now to Boulder.
Yep.
So you're playing football in college. You want to be you're going into the Secret Service kind of as a backup plan, but I'm sure it turned out to be great.
Yeah, it was a
Um,
fun time, man. It was a fun time. I got
you
to see a
discover
lot.
CrossFit. Where's Boulder come into play? How'd you come across it?
Man. So yeah, like I said, I got like big into CrossFit in 2012. That was when like comp train was big, Bender Bergeron. So I followed that for a long time, then dabbled a little bit into Misfit Athletics, and then got into Mayhem programming for a couple years. And I don't know how I stumbled upon Boulder, or I want to say I just started following Jason on like either Instagram or just watching his videos on YouTube. And I was like, and he just transferred over, I think, I want to say, from like Mayhem into his own program, Boulder. And I was like, I like Mayhem. I looked at the Boulder programming and I was like, it's pretty similar. So I gave it a shot and I thoroughly enjoyed the workouts. I got better and everything seemed to be well thought out, and it was geared towards masters athletes, which no program, like, yeah, they had like masters tracks, but nothing was like geared specifically towards masters athletes. And especially like it wasn't coached like by a masters athlete. It was usually just coached by just a regular programmer that put together like a scaled version of what they were doing. So yeah, I like checked out the free week. I want to say I did like a month or two, and I was like, I don't know. And I think I came off of it. I think I came off of it for like a month, and I remember Jason messaging me, and he was like, "Hey, like, what can we do to get you back?" And I was like, you know what? I'll come back. And that's when I came back, and I've been on it ever since. I don't know the exact dates, or I don't know when that actually was.
Yeah, got it. Well, Boulder's been around since basically 2023.
Yep.
The games around 2023. So, I mean, it sounds like you were probably right around that time, pretty early days. I mean, if Jason had just made the transition, obviously Boulder had just come to life at that time. So, you
Yeah.
definitely in the OG territory.
Yeah, it's definitely been a good experience. And like even last year, we did a Boulder team at the games. Like it wasn't the real games; it was like their Legends community, which we came in third, which
You're
was
on
kind of
Mike's
cool.
team.
Yep. Yeah, me and Mike were on a team, and Lauren, and yeah, it was just like cool to represent, Boulder and the brand and that whole community. And you could definitely see what's different about Boulder, which I don't think they get enough credit for, and I don't think they want credit for it, is how well they take care of their athletes. Like I've been to Legends 4 times, and every event that you go to with Boulder, like they make you shirts, they have, snacks, they have like all this stuff that's for their athletes. And no other program does that.
That's right.
So it's definitely a cool feeling to like feel that you're like a top end athlete, even though I'm not. It's cool to be treated as one and to be valued like that. It's not just Boulder's not just a program; it's everything encompassing how they treat their people, which I think is amazing.
I mean, don't let me stop you. Keep going, Greg. Keep going, man. Like, just let it ride, buddy.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
you had said this, it's one of the things in your notes, and I highlighted is like, hey, I really do love the way Boulder treats their athletes. It's truly the best out there. And I was gonna, you went there, but
yep.
I was gonna ask, like, why? Why do you say that? What do you observe? You've touched on some things like simple things, the way you show up in an event and snacks and
Yeah.
seats, and doesn't take much, you know?
No, yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't take much. I mean, even last year at Legends, when we were out in Arizona, they live streamed every single athlete on the page. Uh, they were there, like even when they didn't need to be. Like I was always the last one going because I'm in 35 to 39 age group, so I'm always the last guy, out there. And I remember Adam and Aaron were just. It was the pool workout. It was the 7 minutes of swimming. Were you there last year or no?
No, it was, you say Legends?
Yeah, in
No, I've never
Arizona.
done Legends.
So it's a really cool event.
Yeah.
It's basically like the games, just because they invite like the top 10 games athletes. It's very tough to qualify, and they treat it like a games level event.
Hmm.
And the first event was, or no, the second event was I was the last heat at night. It was 7 minutes of just swimming, and they stayed out there. It was freezing, and they stayed out there. They live streamed it. And even when I wanted to stop, and I did a couple times, they were like, "Hey, come on, keep going." And I'm like, "Yeah."
You're like, I got a cheering section somewhere. All right.
I was like, I don't think I can make it to the end of the pool." No, yeah, but so like that's like what they do. They had shirts made up for all of us. They live streamed every event. Even this year at Wadapalooza for my team, we did a team of three, and again, they live streamed. They took pictures for us. So it's just really really good to feel like they care about you. It's not just another person that's
Mhm.
paying the money to do the programming. It's you feel part of something and valued.
I'm gonna soundbite this whole section, man. We're gonna like micro clip this and commercialize this on repeat. You were not paid to say this. I really appreciate that. But like Greg, you're hitting on something that is truly at the core of what I think Boulder stands for and where our values align. The thing that
Yeah.
drew me to Boulder as well. Funny story, like I was at the games last year and there was a Boulder sign and I didn't know what Boulder was and they were serving
Yep.
coffee and my wife thought Boulder was a coffee company. I'm like, oh, they've got ice barrels. I'm just getting in the ice barrel after every event because I'm smoked.
Yep. Yep.
And then I'm like, I think that's Jason Grubb. And I was not making the connection. I probably was
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
great state of mind, but I was not making the connection. And then at Fittest to the Coast, I was at Fittest to the Coast. I had been doing Boulder for maybe, I don't know, 2 months, was
Yep.
feeling really fit.
Yep.
Fittest to the Coast went really well. And so I had this great like athletic experience, but the experience of being there with people that you're just like, man, they are so invested in us.
Yeah. They are. Yep.
They got all these seats, they got all these snacks out, they were live streaming everything. I've never seen such great coverage of an
Yeah.
event before. And like, I would go back to the room after Fittest to the Coast and hop on, you know, Instagram. I mean, it's just like there was just content being produced everywhere by Boulder,
Yeah.
for sure, Fittest to the Coast. And you're like, dang, this just
Yeah.
feels like you're part of something pretty badass.
Yeah, it's cool. And like when you talk to them, Adam, Aaron, and even Jason, and why they wanted to start it, and like how they think, it's not. Yeah, like I said, it's not. You're not another number on a spreadsheet or dollar signs paying for the program. And like they know you,
Hmm.
they want to support you. It's like, hey, what can we do for you? How can we make this experience better? So that's really cool about the program. And don't get me wrong, like the program is very good and it will get you very fit. So it's like all aspects are covered.
That's so right. The programming is like kind of the core product, really. Like
Yep.
if that's not good, doesn't matter how good everything else is. If you're a competitor,
Yeah.
and if the programming's not good, the community would be fantastic. But if the programming's not great, kind of like, well, that's kind
Yep.
of what I need. The fact that the programming's great, the community is also great, and and then the team, the Boulder team, you do feel like you're being invested in. I felt that, and now I get the chance to help invest in our athletes. And because I, you touched on this as well, and I'm just going to unpack this because it's really meaningful to me, is like, look, our masters audience is a bunch of really hardworking folks, men, women, husbands, wives, moms, dads, that are great athletes, putting in a ton of work, and they have so many priorities competing for their attention and their time. And so the fact that you can create and sustain this kind of fitness, given all that's going on in your life, is so impressive. And that, as that athlete, as that masters athlete, you know what you're investing. You
Yep.
know how hard you're working and the sacrifices you're making. However, the sport of CrossFit, you're a second class citizen. It's just, you're just not the hero of the sport. And that's fine. We've all come to understand that that is the truth of this. And, nobody's whining about it. But
Yeah.
deep down, is there like a, hey, yeah, it feels good to be seen. It does feel good to be appreciated, for sure. We're human, And so when the Boulder guys and I got talking, we were all so aligned that, like, look, this is the place to invest. It is like, let's make sure that our athletes feel valued and appreciated. And if we do that well, good things are going to happen, both for the athletes, for Boulder itself. Like, that's just the most obvious place to invest. So to hear you say that means a lot, because it means something's working, it's coming through in the right way, and then it encourages us to double down on it even more.
Yeah, I've followed a lot of training programs, done a lot on my own too. I mean, I still do. I still, weakness work and everything like that. If you really want to be good in a sport, you need to. You need to customize any program that you don't have a one-on-one coach, and you need to be a little smart as an athlete as well if you want to get to that next level. But no other program, it's always like the top level people, which I get. That's what sells. That's what drives people to their programming. But yeah, no other programming takes care of their people or just listens to their people more than Boulder does, which is really really cool.
That's awesome, man. Thanks for saying that. I appreciate that. I know the whole Boulder team, that's going to mean a lot to them to hear that. And I hope that our broader community hears that and says, yeah, that's how I feel too. That resonates with me. And I really do hope that's true, because I know that's where our intentions are and our heart is ultimately as a team.
Yeah, like you could see that. Like if anyone is doing the Monster Games, I think there's a couple of us that are doing it. Like Aaron already sent me a shirt to wear out there.
Yep. Is this the
So it's
blue with the claw?
yeah, yep. Uh, so it's like stuff like that. Like we're like you don't have to do it, but they do it. So it's really nice.
I want to talk about your aspirations. You have competed at the games. I don't think it was, as you said, as a team's
No, yeah.
athlete, but it is your aspiration to go to the games. Is that on a team? Is it as an individual? Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So like when I first started in 2012, like it was very different times, as you know. Uh, I said to the gym owner at that time, I was like, "Hey, how do I make it to the game?" And they're like, "Oh, you just do the open." I was like, "All right, sweet. Like, how do I get in? Like, what's?" He goes, "No, it's just like $20, and you do 5 workouts, and then you make it to regionals back in that day." Uh, and when that open came around, I did the workouts. I was like, "I am not fit comparatively to where everyone was, because what was that, 12, maybe 12, 13 years ago, I think. So I was 25 at that time. Time goes by fast, but my goal has always been to make it to the games, which then after like those first couple of years, you kind of realize like, hey, these guys are on another level. And then that's when Masters came out, but it was only 40 plus at that time. And I was like, okay, like I'll wait till I'm 40. And then it was 35. And you see and most people don't realize that go to just a regular CrossFit gym, because they only see like the whiteboard in their gym. And there's levels above, the best person in your gym. Like, you don't know how good you have to be to come in last at some of these high level events.
Yeah. So
Because I get asked, like, when I go out to like I went out to Legends the first time when it was in San Diego, and that was an amazing event. And I want to say I came in like 10th or 11th, and like I want to say I snatched like two, like clean and jerked. I think it was just a clean at that time, like 305, and I came in like 19th, and I was like, wow. So I come back to my gym, and they're like, "What happened out there?" I was like, "What do you mean, what happened?" I was like, no, I did really well. I was like, they're just really good. And then like a year later, in Legends in Mayhem, when they held it at CrossFit Mayhem, the workout was like a 400-meter sprint on the air runner, and then 70-pound dumbbell snatches in like a 2-minute window, like a rest, 2-minute window, rest, until you got up to like 75 snatches.
Dang.
Some people were finishing that in the first interval. It was something along those lines, that workout. I don't know the exact numbers.
Okay.
And like I came like within like 5 or 6 of finishing. So I had to get back on the runner. I think I was like one of 4 people back on the runner. And I came in almost dead last in that event. And they're like, again, one person from my gym's like, "What happened?" I was like, "I went unbroken." I was like, I could not go any faster. I don't know what to tell you people. So yeah, like the goal is always to compete, challenge myself. I would love to make it to the games at some point. 35 to 39, it's the last 2 years I made semifinals. This year was like a little weird because I had to get surgery 2 weeks prior to semifinals, so I couldn't work out like the way I wanted to. So I didn't feel prepped this year going into semifinals as I should have been, because I had to take some time off. Last year, I think I finished 90th. And so the disparity of getting to the top 30, I think in 35 to 39, is like, even if I work, which I will this next year, as hard as I can, I don't know if that's actually obtainable. We'll see if it is. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be great. But I do have my eye set on when I turn 40. But yeah, I just compete. Like, I love to compete. I love to challenge myself. I already have, I think, 3 or 4 competitions coming up this year. Our gym made it to Syndicate Crown next weekend on a team. So I'll be on that team, which is kind of funny because one girl is 24 years old. The other one's like 26. The guy is 30. And they're like, "How old are you?" I'm like, "I'll be 39 in September." And they're like, "Oh," like,
And how do you
so like,
fare with this group? Are you doing all right?
yeah, no, I'll do really well.
Okay.
Some of the workouts like are my strength. Like, I love the Echo bike. That's in there for a bunch of calories. Gymnastics, I love. You would think I would be better at the heavy lifting, but since like my knee injury, like some of the positions are hard to get into.
What
But
are your dimensions, by the way, Greg?
So I'm 6'1", 225.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Big dude.
like I love lifting heavy. My favorite lift is the overhead squat, which you wouldn't think.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, my best ever is 352. Yeah, it's my favorite lift. I don't know why. I just love it because I think it has to do with its skill base as well as strength base.
Mobility based.
Yeah, and most people are strong, yeah, but do you have that mobility to actually get into the position that's needed for that lift? Like, yeah, sure, throwing a 500-pound back squat, like pretty much anyone could do that because the bar forces you into the position that you need to be in.
I mean,
Overhead squat,
lift it. We are talking
yeah,
about 500 pounds now.
yeah, but like I'm just saying, like you could finagle your way out of like bad mobility with an overhead squat. You really can't.
That's right. You
You
get
know,
exposed real fast.
you really do.
I've been telling this group of guys of ours, the Wolfpack, I'm like, man, that is the one thing I want to see more than anything is a heavy overhead squat somewhere at the games. Either it's like a 3-rep max or 1-rep max, give me something. But
Yeah, that'll be cool.
as a masters athlete, I feel like those that are programming look at that lift and just say, nah, not worth it. And they don't bother.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you get up into 55 plus, like I could see why they don't do that. But then again, you could just change the lift for them if needed, because then it would be the same test for them. I mean, last year they did the front squat at the games. for the masters, and we had to do the front squat for the team, which was cool. But yeah, I wish they would do. I always complain, like, especially about like local competitions or even like the competitions that I compete at. It's always snatch, clean and jerk, or like a clean front squat jerk. Like, I just want, I don't know, give me a bench press, give me a deadlift, give me an overhead squat, give me something, strict press. I don't care. Like, just change it up sometimes.
Yeah. I better ask you this.
Yeah.
Secret Service.
Yep.
Secret Service. Like, dude, you've seen some things, you've done some things. Like, what does that job look like? What do you do? Greg, we got it. The Eagles landed. Like, what's going on in the Secret Service world?
Yeah, I was stationed. So right out of the academy, I was stationed at the White House. So I spent the time I was there. It was like almost 3 years before I transferred to the U.S. Marshals. I was at the White House every day for the first year or so. You do outside patrols, or if anyone's ever been to D.C., you see like the white boxes all around the house. You know, I was one of those guys. Then I transferred to being inside, and my main post was the mansion and the West Wing. So you got to see the president every day. You got to see his cabinet every day. You got to see the Oval Office every single day. So it was cool. It's definitely a different experience being there than seeing it on TV and seeing
What
like,
administration?
it was Obama.
Okay. You ever get a fist bump? You sneak one of those in there?
So I didn't get a fist bump, but I did scare him because I had to put him up against the wall.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Story time.
So
Tell us about it.
yeah. So they all, every president has a code name, and every, like, first lady and their kids, if they have kids, they all get code names.
Yeah.
Because they don't say, president walking around, in case like people are into the radios. They don't want them to know who's what. And then they also have like code names for, when he goes up in the elevator or the bathroom or this place or this place. So I was stationed right by his elevator to go to his, living area, I'll say. And no one else should or be in that elevator but him, and like a couple other people can use that elevator. Well, I see the elevator coming up, and I didn't hear anything over the radio. So as soon as the door opened up, I got grabbed the person that was there, and it was the president. And like, I quickly realized who it was. I stepped back. He like looks at me and like passed by, and the agent that was with him like looked at me. And I was like, I didn't hear anything. Like, you didn't say anything. And his radio was broke. So like, I did my job. Like, I was fine.
Yeah.
But
He knew.
he knew after the fact. They told him like, hey, like, this is what happened. And like, I didn't get in trouble or anything. Like, I did what I was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was funny.
That's a cool story. Did he you get any sideways looks from him after that, or what?
No. He was always nice. He was always nice. Like, the family was always nice. Yeah. There was a bunch of stories that like happened like that. We had a guy come up. This was, I don't know, I want to say like 6 months on the job. Me and my partner, we're in a car parked down by like the Washington Monument. And this guy's walking on the street. So I roll down the window. I'm like, hey man, get on the sidewalk. I don't want you to get hit by a car. Well, he had like a Ninja Turtle, like samurai sword in his backpack. He pulls that thing out, and I'm like, oh shit. So I was like, we screamed at him, run over the radio, like said what was going on. He eventually got tackled by a couple people, but yeah, there were like, we used to call it like, the White House is like one of those blue lights for like the bugs. It's just a magnet for like crazy people. Like, I was standing in front of the White House the one night, and a guy comes up and he was like, hey man, they stole my car. And I was like, it sucks. I was like, all right, like, where was your car? And he's like, they stole it. I was like, who? And he's like, you guys. I was like, what? I was like, that doesn't make any sense. We don't do that. I was like, that's not us. And then he was like, hey, I have to give the president this. And it was a Ghostbusters poster.
Critical.
And I was like, sweet man. I was like, hold on a second. So I had to call inside. They sent out like a team of agents that interview these people to make sure they're not like a real threat. So yeah, like
And the
stuff like
president
that.
get his Ghostbusters poster.
I don't know what happened to that thing. So I'm sure one of those guys took that thing home because that's a sweet poster.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, shoot, now I'm glad I asked. I have a feeling we could go for a lot longer based on these stories.
Yeah, especially now, like with my job now, I get to see a lot of stuff that people shouldn't see or people probably don't want to see or want to even hear about. Because, normally people are like in their little bubble and they don't want to see what's outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get to see a lot of cool stories, a lot of messed up stories, but some funny ones here and there.
You're definitely speaking a truth here, which is there is a world that exists that people don't want to acknowledge.
Yep.
And if I can just not think about that, watch that, it's not real. That's not part of my reality. Like that's an easier narrative and just everybody's
Yeah.
more comfortable there, which is unfortunate and it's sad and it, gives you a pretty sheltered view of things. For you, given that you do get exposed to a lot of stuff that the vast majority of people don't, how do you
Yeah.
like leave that there and go back home, go to your family? Like, how's that work for you?
I mean, it's pretty simple for me, actually. Like, it just is like leave work at work and home at home. Like, don't bring your problems home. Like, I'm sure, like, yeah, you'll see my mood change if something really bad happens or whatever. But you try to, like, I don't know, like differentiate the two. Because the way I look at my job and the way I looked at like any law enforcement type job or any even military people, especially, is you get into that line of work to help people on their worst day. You get into that line of work because you love helping people and you want to be called on those days where, like, if you're having your worst day and you call me and I show up, I'm going to make it better. So that's the way I look at it in terms of that. So you get in that mindset, like, I'm making a difference, I'm helping somebody, or I'm doing this to make the place, like the world a better place. So when you look at it that way, it's it's easy to leave it there and then to come home. Like I'm not the type of guy that looks for praise or accolades or any of that type of stuff. Like I don't like sharing a lot just because I'm just like a regular dude, just like anybody else that has a regular job. It's just this is what I chose to do, and I love it.
You have perspective, and that perspective allows you to, I don't know, kind of live not two lives, but live in one world with two very different sets of experiences, and you get to share those perspectives across, those two lines. And not many people get to do that, and I think it probably makes you a better person in both of those worlds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, fitness is definitely helps in my world just because there's certain situations that you can get into that require some physical force and being in better shape and doing like what we do, working out, just because we love to do it. So it helps in my job. And then being as tall and as big as I am, people kind of look at me like, maybe I shouldn't mess around with him. So that helps as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get
That
as
stops the
much.
fight before it happens in some cases.
Yeah. Yeah, like we had one case a while ago. It was pretty funny. There was two guys that were coming off a flight and they were carrying some drugs, which we knew about because the dogs hit on their bags. So it was like, all right, like they're going to arrest them. So I was there and one of the guys got his bags first, but they didn't want to take down the two guys, or they wanted to take down the two guys at the same time. And the other guy was still waiting for his bags. And they're like, hey, follow him outside. And once we grab the guy inside, grab the guy outside. I'm like, sounds good, easy enough. So I had another partner with me. And inside, I look back, and the guy has his bag, and he's running for the door to get out of the airport. Well, the sliders didn't open. Like, I guess he was too fast, or the sensor didn't go off, and he just nailed the door.
Nice.
And I look back, I see this, I look at the guy I'm supposed to grab, and he immediately knows what's going on. So he like tried to roll his bag away, and I just like bear hugged him from behind, and he like looked up at me, and I was like, don't fight, man. And he just like went like kind of limp. That's like when I just took him to the ground. So like it definitely helps in that
Yeah.
situation.
Well, he probably felt this bear behind him.
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I was like, I'm good, man. Like, you don't need to tell me anything. Don't talk to me.
Yeah, probably better if you don't. Yeah, no doubt your physicality and fitness, there's an intimidation level when it comes to your line of work, but there's a real necessary application of that fitness as well. And I'm sure you're grateful to have it when those times present themselves.
Yeah, it's definitely, our whole agency is now like in our training department, it's all Rogue equipment. It used to be all like the Lifetime and, Pre-Core machines, but now it's just a big Rogue rig with barbells, kettlebells, dumbbells, echo bikes, rowers, ski ergs. So I think even like the military is, you could see training CrossFit or like whatever you want to call it, whatever they want to call it,
Yeah.
type training, just because they know the better shape you are in, the less physical violence and resorting to like either your gun, your baton, your whatever, is going to be less because people can handle themselves and not get winded in a fight.
Yeah, or panic and resort to a weapon when you don't need a weapon.
Yeah, exactly. One piece of advice though, if you start a fight with somebody and they have like the cauliflower ear, don't start that fight. Just be like, hey man, my bad. Walk away.
Oh, that's such a good cue and so right. Like you've been doing this a while. You probably got a few more rounds on me.
So
Yeah, this has been fun.
how did you get onto Boulder besides like just seeing it at the games, and like what made you try it?
But the programming?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we have a group of guys that we had been on. By the way, I've been on Comp Train, I've been on Brute, I'd been on Mayhem then for the longest. And then with this group of guys, we were all on Mayhem together and we were digging it. And there was, it was doing good things for us. It just, the longer we were in that relationship,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
more you kind of see some of the seams and you're like, yeah, okay, that's, it is what it is. And we were dealing with it. And there just came a time where we're like, man, I kind of want a little more of this and a little less of that. And like, it just wasn't feeling quite the right fit for us
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
We were still happy to be there, but just wasn't feeling quite right. And then Aaron Houchin, a buddy of ours, was like, hey, have you guys tried Boulder? He's like, I tried it a little while ago. It was a lot of volume for me, but I'm still interested to go back and give it another try. And we were hemming and hawing around it. And I was like, guys, calm down, stay with Mayhem. Like, let's not make any rash decisions here. And then we just kept talking. The conversation kept going and going. And the more I just kept thinking about it, I was like, you know what? It doesn't hurt to try. It's a 3-week free trial.
Yep,
Might
yep.
as well just try it. And we gave it a go. And now I would not suggest trying it at the very end of a really intense cycle, which is what we did. And then because I'm so competitive, I'm like, no, I'm hitting all these percentages. And it was like, holy Moses, I shouldn't be doing
Yeah.
it. So I knew that, this wasn't smart and I put that blame on myself. But I also knew that, man, if I can keep this volume up and do it in a really sustainable and smarter way, like it's going to pay off big time.
Yeah.
And so we continued. And, then we were on it for like a month and 2 months, and I was feeling so much fitter, so much faster. And like my
Yeah.
fitness was and I had just gone to the games. So I was like, I thought
Sure.
this was in a pretty good spot. And it just instantly took me to another level. My fitness was being quantified. And I was like, that's really nice. Like I couldn't do this before and now I can. So that's cool.
Sure.
But it was really my mental game that was so much different.
Mm,
I was gaining confidence in things that I knew typically, were really challenging for me. I was just so much more confident in. And that's when I was totally sold at that point. And
sure.
then Fittest to the Coast was my next competition, and I was like really eager to go give it a go and see if it could see how my fitness would show up.
Sure.
on the competitive floor against some really good athletes, and it did show up really well in events that, like a running event that was the first event we did, and I was like, oh man, it's gonna put me in a hole. I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
change my
yeah.
way out for the rest of this weekend. I finished 4th, and I was like, wow, okay, I didn't see that one coming. And then we had a rope climb event and a sandbag event, which had crushed me previously, and a handstand walking event, which had crushed me at the games, embarrassed me at the games, honestly.
Which the handstand walk on. Okay, yeah, I remember that one. Yep.
And so then we did it at Fittest to the Coast. I don't know what place I took, but it was up there, like, I don't know, top 3, 4.
That's
And that's
awesome.
pretty much where I lived the whole weekend. I was just taking second, third, 4th. And in movements that I knew, that combination of movements has historically been tough for me. And it was just, they were just great, and I felt great. And so that, and then the Boulder guys were so freaking cool at
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
that
yeah.
event and took such great care of us. And all of to the points that you made earlier about just like feeling like you were part of something bigger and different. And man, I've been all in since then. And then, what a cool blessing. They approached me and were like, hey, Josh, we'd love to have you join the team. And I'm like, join the team? Like, really? Where you want me? And that was so cool. And I've been so energized by our mission
Yep.
and investing in our athletes. And I don't know, it's been a really cool journey. I'm super grateful to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. And then getting ready for the games this year, right?
Game on. Yeah, I'm gonna be fit, and as are a lot of our Boulder athletes that are going. And
Yeah,
so
there's a ton going, right?
yeah, I think there is 16 athletes in total going. And yeah, I've got a handful of dudes, good close friends that are in the same age group as me, that naturally I'm rooting for them. I want to see them crush it, and I also want to crush them all.
As you
And
should. As you should.
yeah, but to be on the floor at the same time with a
Yeah.
bunch of guys that, we've been on this journey together, that I'm sincerely wanting to see succeed and put my own fitness to the test is going to be a really cool experience. And we have some sweet stuff planned for the games.
Nice, man.
Are you going?
Yeah, I'll be out there. I'll be
Okay,
out there. So I'll
cool.
see everyone out there.
All right. Well, you come up to me from behind, give me that bear hug from behind, and
All right, I'll
I'll
take
just
you
love
down.
on you. All right, brother. Hey, I'm glad you made time for this, and I hope to see you at the games, and I'd like to stay connected.
Yeah, man, definitely. Thanks for having me.
Team, thanks for checking out the Boulder Athlete Podcast. We are so grateful that you did. Wherever you're watching or listening, please like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more stories from this great community.